Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's watch. Shall we?
Hello? Hello?
All right, so somebody else ghosted someone. I don't know. Is this what people do in Denver? Yeah, we can't extrapolate from that. Okay, so to catch you up, Megan W. is connecting with 3 different men, Jordan, Mike, and Blake. For a bit, she said Blake was her number one. Then she was really connecting with Mike, and I didn't know if Blake was still her number one, but then she just said that Mike was her number one. But then she had a date with Jordan, the 5, or no, he's not the 5. Is he the 5? He's the guy with the kid. Anyway, just let's see. Jordan is the guy with the 5 cat tattoos, and he has a kid. Anyway, so she says in a one-on-one interview that she was going to friend zone him. I'm not a fan of just using that term. just say, but she would say that he didn't give her the vibe of someone that she really wanted to be with. It was a fun relationship that she was having with Jordan, someone she was connecting with, but not someone she ultimately felt that oomph or something. I don't know. But then they had a date, Jordan and Megan, and she was really confused afterwards. She was thinking, well, now I don't know. I mean, Mike was my number one. The one thing I will say about Megan's dates, in terms of the edit anyway, is there doesn't seem to be any emotion. If I didn't know better, and maybe this will happen, well, no, it's not happening because she's really connecting, but it didn't look like she was connecting with anyone. It didn't look like she wanted to be there, but that's, not necessarily true. And I'm wondering, given her history, she said, she basically alluded to her parents being distant and conflict avoidant, she said. And I wouldn't be surprised if she has a hint or a lot of avoidant attachment style or other kinds of defense. I, of course, can't know. But what can happen with these folks is they can look like they're bored or indifferent or unemotional when they're very different, indifferent. Anyway, they're very emotional. They have a lot of needs. They don't even necessarily know of them themselves. And there's another aspect to this is when they're young, they learn they have to turn off their noticing their emotions. They have to turn off their access to their emotions in terms of being aware. But they also neurologically tone down their emotions just baseline. So they have emotions that are going on underneath it, but they're attenuated a bit because neurologically they had to do that when they were quite young. Now, that isn't to say that underneath the surface is not a lot of emotion. It's actually the opposite because they almost never get their emotional needs met. And so whatever, say, they have that, if we put it into numerical terms, they have like 75% the emotion of a normal person. And none of those emotions are being acknowledged even by them. So they're a ticking time bomb, which will explode sometimes. Anyway, whether it be through anger or sex or chaos or crying for 3 days or drugs and alcohol or something. And I'm not saying anything about Megan W. I have no idea. But the way she has resting indifference face, and I think it might be because of that. I don't know. But now we're starting to see emotion anyway in the interview, and the way I'm trying to guess who's ghosting her. I don't think it's Mike, or maybe it could be Mike. But I was wondering if it was Blake, because we haven't seen from, and I'm wondering if Blake was picking up on that or heard from Mike talking about it, or so, I don't know. I don't know why I'm guessing. Yeah, I guess it could be anybody at this point. And I'll mention that they never gave us any more information about Anna. Patrick went in to see Anna, and they had a little title screen that said she left the show and chose not to talk to anyone. Now I'm wondering if that was literally the last we'll ever hear from Anna. And because maybe they had a conversation with Anna, and maybe Anna didn't tell them why, or didn't want to tell them why, or told them why and said, don't put that on the show, or I don't know. It'd be quite a huge mystery though, because there was nothing that, but maybe they'll tell us.
I'm so confused.
Last night was a little bit of a wake-up call. Love this experiment. It's been incredible, but like, I don't know if it makes sense to continue.
You've got to.
Yeah, I was thinking it was Blake, which sucks for Blake, but I don't think there's a misunderstanding, because for Megan, although Blake was her number one, she switched to Mike and then Jordan. So so we're seeing another rare moment where one of the cast members is talking with production. So Blake is saying, what did he say?
Last night was a little bit of a wake-up call. Love this experiment. It's been incredible, but like, I don't know if it makes sense to continue.
Last night was a bit of a wake-up call. I wonder what that was exactly.
You've got to follow your heart with this.
Yeah. I know.
It's your journey. Whatever you want to do.
I don't know. I wonder if they're showing us this to signal that, look, we don't coerce people, which I think is true. But there's that. I'm glad we're seeing this. I wish they would include, because this is a big part of the experience for the cast on any of these shows that we watch. The producers, the cameras, the process, right? I think that showrunners often think that it breaks the illusion, but to me, it just fleshes out the reality for these folks.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate that. This experiment, it's been just a wildly positive experience. I feel very fortunate and grateful to be a part of it. I'm one of those people that just needs more time.
Interesting. Okay, reading between the lines, he's leaving because he needs more time. He doesn't like the format of the experiment. He thought he might, but he finds that he needs more time. I wonder if he ran into some kind of hint that Megan might not be into him or something, and that's the diplomatic thing that he's saying to the cameras, is that it's just moving too fast for him. Anna was his number one. Megan was, at least last time we heard. So maybe he found out that Anna left. And so Blake is now like, well, if Anna is leaving, then I'm going to leave. And or he might be thinking, well, if she left and I left, I could call her and then maybe we could just go slower dating after the thing. Yeah, what's up with the ghosting? Now, I don't think Megan is that hurt. She might even be relieved, honestly. But it is rude, is it not?
You okay? Dad, I got no showed. I don't know. Like my number one.
Wait, what? Blake was her number one? Well, at the very least, for Megan, Blake was in the running. And she did say at one point he was number one. But then I could have swore she just said a little bit earlier that Mike was number one. Who knows? I think that's for, or maybe when she was talking about friend zoning Jordan, she was talking about Blake, but I don't think so. I think she was talking about, well, maybe she was talking about Blake. I don't know. Anyway, let's watch.
Dad, this is like the worst. I'm so sorry.
Maybe he didn't feel the connection, like, fine. But, like, show up.
Honey, you dodged a bullet.
Maybe this is like the universe's way of, because I was gonna probably knock off number 3.
You were gonna.
Okay, Jordan was number 3. Mike was number 2. Yeah, that makes sense. We just hadn't, in the edit, seen Megan and Blake connecting, so I thought, given the way she was talking about Mike, that Blake had suddenly become third. But anyway, yeah. So for Megan, now maybe Blake would say, I don't know, it didn't seem like Megan really because when I watch the scenes where Megan is with these 3 guys, even the facial expressions she makes behind the pod that they don't see, seems to indicate that Megan, at least on the surface, isn't into any of them. But then she will say and will have emotions at times that will say otherwise. So I wouldn't be surprised if Blake would say, I don't know if Megan was really into me. But we heard from Blake that Anna was his number one anyway. But yeah, even if you're in doubt on the feelings of other people or what's happening, having a goodbye conversation would be the way to go, right? It's an overwhelming situation. I could see there being almost like a denial of the situation where you're stressed out, you don't want to be there anymore, you just want to go home, you want your phone back, you want your friends back, you want your bed back, you want your freedom back, and you're thinking that, well, I'll just have a conversation with them after the pods, and we'll sit down and we'll have the whole conversation. But I just need to get out of here right now. I can see that. I can see someone looking back and thinking, oh yeah, I probably should have had that conversation. But I couldn't, once I turned that corner, I could not wait to get out of there. Maybe. But obviously, people have reasons to avoid this because it is scary, and they might not have practice or differentiation or the maturity to having that conversation. Now, they could argue, I didn't want to have that conversation on camera. Well, then don't go on a reality TV show.
Bye, Joe.
Whoa, that's insane. Yes, love is blind. That's somebody that I would have never thought, and honestly, it just felt right.
All right, I'm not showing all the clips, but there's a lot in the edit. But legitimately, it was a lot of him saying this sort of thing. And I think we're supposed to believe or be led to believe that he's not attracted to her. He fell in love with her and is not attracted to her. We don't know that. The way he's talking is the way that a lot of people talk in this situation. And for all of us, for most of us anyway, we probably don't know what it would be like to fall in love, deeply in love with a voice without knowing what they look like. And you, without even trying, you probably come up with a vision of what they look like. You know, like when back in the day when I would listen to podcasts and radio, talk radio, I would never know what the person looked like Terry Gross. I don't know if you remember Terry Gross, or, she's still around. And I listened to her radio show on NPR for years and years and years. And then when I saw what she looked like, it did not fit what I had in my head, but nothing probably would have fit what was in my head. So to have that experience where you're falling in love with someone, and even if you're not trying to come up with a voice, and all of a sudden, or a face, or a 3D person, all of a sudden there they are. And he said, he was speaking out loud, and it was almost like he was saying, "Is it really you? Because your voice even sounds a little different, And that's normal. I would expect everyone to at least have it would be a surreal experience. But there is, I guess, some indication possibly that he isn't attracted to her. I don't know. She seemed attracted to him, but we don't know. She might not have been attracted to him. I'm guessing that there's a wide variety of experiences and things that people would say to their best friend or their therapist that they wouldn't want to say on camera. Like even people that got married, they might say like, yeah, he's not as good looking as I thought or hoped, but that's not the most important thing. And I've grown to love him and be attracted to him. And he is my person, or whatever. That wouldn't be very romantic. You probably wouldn't want to hurt your partner's feelings, or you might not even be fully aware of it. It's normal. Life isn't a box of chocolates. Life isn't a Disney movie. So the other thing is that for Joe, the way he presents the edit anyway, he seems, I think I was using the word flippant or surface or something, but I don't know, because I've thought that about previous couples and then they get married and stay married. People have a wide variety of vibes, demeanors, approaches to life. That doesn't mean that they're not mature. It doesn't mean that they're not dedicated or truthful. But I don't know. It just feels like if one of the cast members is not taking it super seriously, he would be my guess at the top of the list. Of course, I can't know, but we'll see.
Yes, love is blind. That's somebody that I would have never thought. And honestly, it felt right. The attraction was there. It just took me a little bit to put that emotional feeling towards this person I've never seen before.
And I'm probably just biased because in their early dating, she was talking about how she has a cat, and he was really fixated on it. He's like, so is there like cat hair everywhere? Does the cat sleep on the bed? And then she's like, well, if it was a dog, would you ask me all these questions? And he's like, oh no, it would be fine if it was a dog. And
yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
now, I should say, there's nothing wrong with preferring dogs over cats, but it's this gendered preference that is so old and tired to me that he didn't invent, even if he has that, I don't even know. But it was more prevalent in the past that men, due to toxic masculinity, because we associate dogs with men and cats with women, which is really strange. I mean, cats, if we're going off of how badass an animal is, I mean, cats are pretty bad. They can be. They can also be lumps on a log, but so can dogs. Anyway. And it's just a stupid thing. You know, people can like whatever they want to like, but when people start associating things like, oh, you're an old cat lady, or, oh, you only have cats? Like, that's weird. You're a guy. Why do you, like, shut the fuck up, people. I mean, really. I don't know if that's where it was coming from, but I wouldn't be surprised. And, yeah. Also, for him to just not, it almost seemed like the way a child would talk to someone. Even if you had a preference for dogs over cats, you're trying to date someone and they're talking about how they have a cat and you're like hyper fixated on the hair being everywhere, even though if it was a dog, which undoubtedly would have a lot more hair because they're bigger, then everything's fine if it's a dog. And just that lack of awareness, because if you're just talking about something that isn't important to someone, fine, but you should probably intuit, if you're an adult, that this person that you like that they like their pet, regardless of what that is, and that you wouldn't just act like the world revolved around you and your stupid preference. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.